Today we are finally playing Preordain in the Goryo shell. We've played Preordain in a lot of fair shells, a couple creativity is kind of a conversation. Is it a combo deck? Is it a fair deck? I think with the Hellraisers, probably more of a fair deck. We're playing it in now a true kind of pure combo shell, and beyond just really helping enable consistency, digging pretty deep. Preordain also, it's very important that it lets you play less lands than you do in other versions. So if you're going to play the Aether Mage's Touch version, if you're going to play Footsteps of the Goryo, you really need to play 20, 21 lands. As if you're going to have a higher curve, but Preordain I think lets you cut those more expensive cards, and also which lowers your land count, and also Preordain itself lowers your land count too. And then what's really good about lowering your land count is you get to fit a lot of other cards in the shell that allow you to meet the color pitch count for Solitude, Grief, and Force of Negation. We're at, I think, 17 black cards for Grief, 17 white cards for Solitude. Let me double check because I've been missing the numbers. It's 8, 12, 17, and then a lot of blue cards for the Force of Negations. Very rare to be able to meet the requirements for 3 different colors of pitch spells in Modern, but this is one of the few decks that can do that. And you really want these 0 mana spells, where being able to Atraxa and dig for that 0 mana interaction, potentially 2 pieces of 0 mana interaction if you had a Force and a Solitude or a Grief, is just so backbreaking and so game ending. I think a lot of people will look at this list and notice that Atraxa cannot hit any more than 5 cards on ETB. Sorcery, Instant, Creature, Planeswalker, Land usually is going to hit 3 or 4 cards instead of 5. But in my experience, in my testing, that's kind of fine. To me, I think that I would rather just have higher card quality overall and not have to put Mishra's Bauble in my deck, not have to put Knot of This World in the deck, not have to play, Leyline Binding was pretty nice as an enchantment, but I think with the Preordain, Leyline Binding is a bit worse. And it's also kind of if you're playing, earlier lists didn't have any sorceries, so now you have sorcery over enchantment to some extent. But to me, I think that card selection on Atraxa is really much more important. Getting that that one premium 0 mana interactive spell plus an Ephemerate to dig you even deeper. That's all you really need. You don't really need to get 5 cards every single Atraxa hit. The big problem, of course, the Goryos also is that it's pretty bad against Scam. I don't think that there is a way to build a deck to where it's good against Scam. That being said, we currently have the plan of boarding out our Force of Negation for 4 Celestial Purge. It's really nice that Purge can hit Blood Moon, Leyline of the Void, and Voidwalker, all the cards that are most problematic for you, and also answering Fast Fury sometimes. That being said, that is the matchup we're scared of. We'll see how it goes, but this is how we're going for now. No Lord revealed. Yeah, I think sometimes Preordain plus Lorien revealed is a good formula for decks. This is a good formula for Dimir control, blue-white control, maybe Omnath. It's a good for the creativity Hellraiser deck we've been playing. But I think in this deck, you have plenty of blue cards for Force. You're overflowing with blue cards for Force. You really want tap lands are also a much bigger problem, I think, for this deck, where you have 8 1-mana spells with Ephemerate and Preordain. You have a ton of 2-mana spells that you really want to cast on curve. I think Lorien Revealed is a lot worse in this deck than it is in the more fair shells, if that makes sense. Explanation for Archaeologist, or is it just stalking Goryo? Yeah, the card is mostly stalking Goryo now. Watching Doomwake really convinced me about this card. It's something I've always kind of considered, but I don't think I ever playtested it before seeing other people. I've seen Ely, Cassis, and Doomwake play this card. It's just really good. One thing is it gives you a density of good cards for Ephemerate. Ephemerate kind of turns into a dig through time when you're Ephemerate your Archaeologist, but it just digs really deep, and sometimes the ETB is a 2-for-1 when you mill over Atraxa, then you get a good card. And digging really deep is important in this deck because you need very specific cards. Up against Tron immediately. On the draw, not thrilled to be playing against Tron. Hopefully this Force of Negation... Oh, sorry, I should have forced the map. Oops, I was just kind of F6, but... No excuse, I guess. Yeah, like the 5-color builds of the Goryos deck, it's like, I don't know, they just feel, everything about that deck just always feels so random to me. Could have maybe kept the Grief also. Well, Goryos is not a bad draw. Honestly, maybe it was even correct to just go to discard here, though. Maybe taking a little bit more time on my decisions, I guess. Maybe we'll mill over a creature. We do, actually. Okay, that's good news. Actually in pretty reasonable shape here, since we get to go Atraxa plus Ephemerate next turn, assuming we can find a white source off Atraxa. Just go to enforce the ring. Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so 10 cards. Let's go ahead and grab a land, a Force of Negation. I think Force of Negation. Maybe I could actually take Grief. No, the problem with Grief is that I can still take Grief, I guess, but the problem is I am ephemerating the Atraxa, not the Grief this turn. We also don't need to Solitude the Core Tapper until they put a artifact in play for us to care about, but also, like, we may, if we don't want to go to discard, we may Solitude on our turn anyways. So I would like to Grief them, so we'll probably take the Grief this time. I'm going to take the Preordain, probably take Basic Island, and then we could take second Goryos. I think I'll just take Indulgence and just use that to pitch to the Grief. This is kind of what I mean by, like, you just don't need to hit more than, like, 3 or 4 cards off Atraxa, because you get multiple triggers with it so often. Can even double Grief them here. It seems actually pretty good. Thanks again, Ed, for the 39 months. Do you prefer Izzet Charm and Mana over Mending and just Dimlich Phoenix? I'm not really sure. Yeah, I have been kind of missing the white cards. The Izzet Charm answering like Dauthi Voidwalker has been nice, but I've been missing the white cards. I'd probably go back. We were also, like, our record was better with Jeskai for what that's worth. Oh, no. Okay, so I really like to play Stony Silence in this deck against, like, specifically Murktide and, like, Mono Black Coffers, Mono Red. Like, there's a few, Grixis Shadow. There's a few decks where all of their graveyard hate is just artifact based, and so being able to go 2 mana, you have no graveyard hate, and also sometimes your Baubles and your Ragavan treasures are off. It's pretty good. And then sometimes you catch some strays and you play against, like, you know, Dice Factory Tron. And it's kind of gross. I think I'm gonna cut the Solitudes, and I think I'll cut the 2 Teferis and play 2 Pending also. Click submit. Could maybe go up on Pending too. If opponent didn't scoop, would do Ephemerate or go for damage to close the game out sooner? I think because I only have 2 forces left in the deck, I probably just go for damage. It's like kind of difficult to have. It's not super guaranteed that we can find another force to protect. Jathbrisk, 4 months, thank you. What about 1 Lord revealed over 1 land? I've been playing with it and never punished. Well, I've been punished by Lorien Revealed before. I don't know, like, what land would you cut? Like, one thing too is, like, this is just not the kind of deck where you're trying to get, decks that get to, like, play a fair game. Decks that get to play a fair game and then top deck Lorien Revealed, draw 3. Those are really the decks I think that won it. I think it's, like, much, much, much worse in this shell compared to other shells. We can keep a force. Opponent is going to be very punished for playing Everflowing Chalice here, I think. Oh, although maybe they just have Natty Tron. We may just get a concession here. Okay, they do have Natural Tron. That is something worth forcing. Pretty gross. Force Stony plus Force. Spike is so good for lol. I mean, if I'm playing the card in the deck, I think it's good enough to play. I think I don't know if you watched game 1, but it was incredibly good hand. What's kind of interesting is that if we miss a land drop, we can just discard Atraxa. So it's kind of like we have 3 turns to find a land. If we find a land, we're in really good shape. Double Ephemerate, double Archaeologist digs so deep. We also have Solitude Ephemerate to buy us time against creature matchups. As for Atlantic, I've got one of your 10 fetches. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't play the Lorien Revealed, but you are free to. Okay, so let's discard Atraxa. The next turn we can maybe Solitude Ephemerate 2 creatures, and then hit a land to Goryos. Thoughts on Karn the Great Crane in 4-color? I don't like it very much, but it isn't the most ridiculous card to play. I really don't like it. Not having a sideboard in 4-color Omnath is that's kind of the worst deck to lose so many sideboard slots, and I don't think that it actually gives you enough equity in other matchups to justify that dynamic, but it could also be better than, I think. Well, love that. Interesting, they are not playing anything after the Channeler, so they must just have Counterspell up here. Being subsing over Lorien Revealed Fire's Invention. That sounds pretty cool. I've also kind of thought about how Time Warp and Lorien Revealed are both 5 mana for a Fire's Invention taking turns deck. One thing that I've been kind of struggling with is Preordain. Kind of feels a little weird in a Fires deck. Like 1 mana cantrips are so odd. But it could be fine. Just enabling, digging for your fires seems pretty cool. Emrakul with the 8 months, thank you. Thank you for the congrats. Could maybe have, Godless Shrine instead here, but I think I want to be able to draw Preordain and cast Preordain. Just rip the black source anyways. We won't be able to Ephemerate, but we get to gain 10, draw 4 cards probably. Get to Preordain, Seachrome Coast, Tainted Indulgence, Atraxa, yeah. Not bad. Think you would cut cards from the Ephemerate Witness Time Warp for Preordain? I'm not sure. I've been thinking about it some, and I'm not sure. I think there's a better blue-red deck with no monkey, 4 DRC, Merc, and Shredder. Am I crazy? I mean, we literally played that earlier this week with basically Dreadhorde Arcanist over Ragavan. I even kind of want to cut the DRCs to some extent, just be much better against Bowmaster and Rin and 6, as much as I am a long time, I'm Dragon Rage's Channeler's biggest fan forever, but okay, we'll take that. Oh, whoops. Do I ever want Force of Negation? I don't think this is currently a Force of Negation game. Just take another Preordain though. Also, I have 3, 2, 5, 1, 0. So, kind of a little bit of a problem that this is actually a draw 2. Although that's a loot there. Did you try Ad Nauseam with Preordain? No, I mean, I think that, Ad Nauseam and, Blue-Red Gift Storm, those are 2 decks that get buffed with Preordain a little bit, but I think that those 2 decks have, enough kind of fundamental flaws that I'm not necessarily very excited about testing it. Yeah, I also saw a Shadowless. I liked it on Twitter this morning. Let me take a look. It was a Shadowless, no Bobble, no DRC, no Ragavan. Dak Faden 07, who said that with over 40 matches of regular Shadow, they had 40 to 45% win rate, then played 20 matches, have 75 to 80% win rate. I'm a little, like, sus, because, like, these seem like estimates, you know what I mean? Like, like why is it not the exact number? But it's still, like, the list looks good, though, I'll say this. Like, the list looks pretty good. I'll maybe do a couple things a little differently. Like, I kind of doubt I'd be playing 19 lands, but maybe just because you're 3 colors, like, you need the extra land. If you're, like, already playing Murktide I would maybe try to make the mana more blue, is kind of something I was thinking. But overall, looks pretty good. Not trying to nitpick it too much. Oh, another Spell Pierce? Maybe it's game / match win percentage. It's not. It's anybody who's, like, keeping that detailed data is definitely, like, saying it, you know what I mean? I think that's pretty unlikely. So I don't know. Again, I'm sure my deck fan is doing well with the deck, but I just always be, like, a little, like, sus of people who, like a 5% difference in your win rate is huge. Like, what is the number? It's only 20 matches. What's the number? I kind of like this Sludge Shot. Yeah, so, like, I kind of have a blue-red deck, with Arcanist, Murktide, no Deer. I have a blue-red deck, Arcanist, Murktide. No, wait, I forgot. I think I'm not playing DRC. Yeah, I am playing Snapcaster, which is maybe ill-advised. Alright. One thing, too, about not playing, like, the Leyline Binding mana base is you can't actually hardcast Atraxa. I'm gonna fetch Shock to Preordain. Sure. Can I get that Decklist for Shadow I just saw? I mean, try to run a stream. I used to be, like, really nice and, like, pull up Decklists I was showing on stream, but it's just I don't know. Actually, sorry, I have it open, so I'll post it. But for the most part, I don't like to oblige. Yeah, no way to hardcast Atraxa in this deck, which is, I think, fine, but, like, if you don't think so, like, it's not that hard to just play, like, one green source, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm supposed to get rid of a Channeler. Yeah, I think so. It's okay, Crispy, it's not a big deal. Dang. Put a Bauble into their graveyard. I think I just force this. It's kind of weird to force it, but, like, it's just so bad if they find a creature here. Let's take Ephemerate. And then we need to think about... Yeah, I think I should just main phase Indulgence. If I find Solitude or Preordain, I'll be happy I main phase this. If I can grow this potentially, which doesn't actually change the clock. Okay, so take the Goryos. But we need to find a Mending off a Rebound, and we need to dodge a Lightning Bolt or Counterspell off the top for my opponent. I think it's pretty deep here. We cut Arcanist from the Shredder, let's put Shredder. You don't want to put Shredder, there's no baubles. Like Shredder's just not good without Bobble. They put a card on top, which I guess we have to hope it's like Murktide, but I don't even know that they would top a Murktide here. Oh, they could also just top any Castle spell, like any like Preordain. Just try to kill me with the Shredder. Okay, so they're gambling on the non-land on top, which is a pretty good gamble. They win the gamble, and let's see if we would have survived or would have got there. So we would draw. Oh, sorry, we mill Grief, Griselbrand, Plains, draw for turn. Yeah, we would have bricked on our Ephemerate. I guess we had another Archaeologist. Tough game. Gonna bring in the Stonies and the extra Teferis. Usually cut the forces of this matchup, and like sometimes I trim the 4th Grief too. Could also cut a Mending. Let's cut a Mending. Two things: Solitude upkeep wasn't better, and double spell change the clock. So I Solitude main phase, not playing around a burn spell, so that I could force like an iteration on their turn without letting them connive off Ledger Shredder. Was my thinking. Maybe I should have played around a burn spell as the last card. It's something that kind of made a lot of sense, but that was like why I did it. Yeah, the double spell on my turn changes the clock if they double spell on their turn, which isn't super likely because they had no cards in their hand at the moment, but they drew cantrip into spell, into spell off the connive. Yeah, but it's probably better to play around burn spell. If we cut Arcanist and let's put Shredder. Yeah, Arcanist is better than Shredder in that list too. I don't know why I thought that. Didn't realize that was the suggested cut. Yeah, this looks pretty good. Yeah, we'll play some Shadow at some point. Not sure when. Thoughts on Karn and Rakdos Ring deck? What is a Rakdos Ring deck? Like literally, what is that? May actually go for just all basics here, which would mean I just don't cast the Mending this turn, so I can get Swamp off my Delta. So maybe I should play the Strand last turn. Black-red with Ring, yeah. Like I don't think I've ever seen a black-red deck with Ring, and so like I don't know what that list looks like. I've tried to build it and like never succeeded. So if we're gonna talk about it, like I need to see a list and then tell you, of course, Karn isn't good in it. So I guess I could maybe save you some time and say, of course, Karn isn't good in this deck. I think I just probably just jam Teferi here. Just mid-range black-red deck with Ring. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's like you say it like it's so simple. I've tried to build black-red mid-range a million times, and like with like to play Ring and Shieldred, like you're basically I guess just cutting the scam cards. I guess we played it one time, but like it just like is worse than mono black and it's worse than scam. Is kind of where I'm at with it at the moment. Like because I put like I put like dozens of hours into thoughts on like Rakdos with Ring, and I like never found a build I really loved. And so I just get kind of stun locked on these questions where like you figured it out, but the answer is usually no. Okay, hit a Tormod script. Ding ding ding. I guess we tap like this though. I mean, Pharaoh's just wondering. Yeah, I do this too often where I just kind of like overthink every question that's ever asked of me, but. It's just a question I can't answer without like for one, Karn is not going to be good in the deck. Like I should have just said that. I should have just said Karn is not going to be good in the deck. Well, I probably should have discarded the other Mending so I could hardcast Solitude. Murktide seems a bit like overkill Arcanist list. Yeah, maybe. Revisit Orzhov mid-range. We're using Lotho to help cast Shield Ring more consistently. The problem is, of course, still that Lotho has just one toughness. But as soon as that changes, I'm about it. I mean, I guess I have to take Teferi. I think Anviltron has like an open tournament. Yeah. I like the deck. You're eating your own graveyard from turn 3. You're lucky if it survives, and no food for the Murktide. The idea that like Dreadhorde Arcanist will cast so many spells from your graveyard that you can't cast your Murktide is really funny to me, because that sounds like a great game. That sounds like, I guess I'll play around Dispute. Well, yeah, I can go to 4. I got life gain. The idea that that Dreadhorde Arcanist is gonna, again, it's going to exile so many instants and sorceries from your graveyard that you just can't cast Murktide is really funny. Like, if you've cast 3 spells to Dreadhorde Arcanist, you've won that game like every single time. Don't need to worry about it too much, I think. Discard Stern Scolding, huh? Archaeologist first, maybe? It's kind of close. Find Ephemerate. Yeah, I think we're just going to be ephemerating to dig for Goryos pretty deep. Read up Esper list for local FNM. I want to feel unpolished. You have thoughts on the archetype? I mostly think that if you're going to play like a Stoneblade variant, I think like the base red ones are like a lot better than like base blue. Like historically getting access to like Fervent Champion has been awesome. That's probably not true anymore with Bowmasters being around, so going back to like a blue-white based one is pretty nice. I've had like a pretty like surprising amount of success with that archetype historically. It's not a deck that I've played in a very long time though, so it also is one that I want to like return to with Preordain, but it's also one that I don't think you want to splash black for. The problem with splashing black in the Stoneblade decks is that like all the good cards that exist in the archetype, they're like all 3 mana, all the black cards, and like you already have plenty of good 3-drop. Like all the good black cards are like black, like Dakin and I don't know. I assume Dakin is the card, but like Dakin's worse than Teferi, and there's just kind of better 3-drops, I think. V4, the Twitch Prime, thank you. Okay, let's run it back. Michael, 6 months, thank you. We keep. Stony's really important. Goryos is important. Teferi is important. We have a Preordain. It's bad. Probably have to like pitch Teferi. We saw a Blood Moon last game too, so I'm gonna try to fetch basics. We'll see if I'm able to do that. Spawn on both of these. Okay. Could be good to pitch the Stony. The problem is like the Stony is so important. Stony is like just, it's just the difference between winning and losing games a lot of the time. Yeah, so if they have a Blood Moon next turn, I guess we have Teferi that can bounce the moon eventually if we just have blue and white mana. We also just bought another Stone, yeah. V4 Twitch Prime, Michael the 6, Atomic with the 38. Trying to build a Grixis midrange list, suffers from Gen Complex. Yeah, I don't know what Gen Complex means in this context. we get our basics online. I have a question about the newer iteration of the Door to Nothingness. Is it worth it to run the ring, guaranteeing that traditional amulet is also running it? Why not all four Lotus Fields for guaranteed turn 3 restore on the festival, 2 amulets in play? I don't know. I've played a lot of the deck, and I typically have just played 2 Lotuses. You could play more, but if your instincts are just like that Lotus is just better than the bounce lands, that's fine. But like also if you have like the extra land effects, like you really want that first bounce land, like the bounce lands are much better with any like extra land drop effect if you're still playing the Explorers. I honestly can't remember like the last build I played, but I have also played the Ring in the deck too. The Ring is, you know, a broken card and you can cast it really early. It makes Manamo better if you want to play Manamo. There's a lot to like about it. Is this Esper deck better than Esper Archon? I think so, yeah. I think going for the Atraxa plan is better than going for the Archon plan at the moment. Especially because like a big benefit of like that build was always that like being able to Witch's Cottage back Moldrifter and Grief was like really, really powerful. But like I think with the Preordains now you just want to build the curve much lower if possible. Dude, come on. Think before you pierce. Oh, this could be a bluff. Okay. So I guess we'll go for end of turn Goryos and then untap double Goryos. Pretty good. And what's also very nice that my opponent doesn't get to make any treasures off their Ragavan here. I think the red blast deck could splash white for the new Pia with like Synthesizer. Well, I mean, like I've played a ton of Synthesizer in the deck, but also like I think the Ring is better. And currently you have no cards that work with Pia, and so usually like Pia always requires like 12 cards or something. So if you play Breach Synthesizer, you still need like Light Up the Stage, and at that point the deck is just completely different. You have to build around Pia. Yeah, historically I've really liked Esper Archon. I just think I mostly think that this is the better build of the deck now. I've been kind of thinking about trying to like I do think you could maybe build blue-black like pseudo scam reanimator. Like we saw a couple drafts that I think Doomwake had. That looked okay. They're starting to pay costs. I don't know what they're trying to cast. Hopefully not Bolt. That's the main thing we lose to here. Can beat that. Means pseudo evoke. Yeah, I don't know what I mean anymore. Do you splash blue in Defenders for Preordain? No. Just play like Abundant Harvest if you want to cantrip in that deck. So actually sounds kind of sick. I don't know. Been enjoying the cantrips, the cantrip life. So we did not hit a Ephemerate, which is bad. I'm going to take Preordain, Godless Shrine, Indulgence, and then Archaeologist or Grief. Probably just second Archaeologist. So we gained 7. We also didn't even find any white card. We can Preordain into Ephemerate. That would be really convenient. Maybe I should have played Archaeologist. Like I dig a whole like extra card here. I don't get hit by Ragavan. Not that getting hit by Ragavan matters that much. Yeah, we'll just go top. I mean, I'd also love to be able to like Solitude. Do I have to Solitude this now? There's a Solitude. Wait, there was a Solitude in the Atraxa pile? No, there wasn't. If there's a Solitude in the Atraxa pile, I should have definitely taken it. I totally did not see a Solitude for some reason. I think I have to evoke now. There was? Okay, well, I obviously should have taken it. I don't know how I missed it. Sure enough. Sure enough. That's like so much better than the Archaeologist. It's painful. Is it really worth it? Sideboard Stony Silence against Ravagan? Graveyard Hate makes a ton of sense, but only against Ravagan is bad. Yeah, all of their Graveyard Hate is artifact based. I'm not only playing Stony Silence against the card Ragavan here. They showed us Tormod's Crypt last game. They probably even have a split of like Tormod's Crypt, Hearse, maybe even also Lantern. And like it's nice that Stony Silence catches strays with Bobble and Ragavan, but it's mostly 2 mana you have no Graveyard Hate when I'm playing a deck that is, you know, Graveyard combo deck. Okay, I have 5-1-2-0. 5-1-2-0. That's I'm counting only 4. And I think I'm not jamming the Goryos into a Spell Pierce though. We'll take the Ephemerate. Tyler, good to see you in chat. Thank you for the 46 freaking months. You love to see it. This usually catching strays is new to me. Yeah, we like to innovate on Magic jargon in this chat. Kind of doubt they had Pierce. I mean, this is twitch.tv/Aspiring Spike. They got Pierce a lot. I feel like they had Pierce pretty often there. Maybe not every time. Definitely taking the other Ephemerate. I'm definitely taking Teferi. I'm definitely taking Preordain. I'm definitely taking a Fetch, which are both exactly the same. And I guess we just also take the Grief. I have a Griselbrand in the yard, so I think I can just pitch the Atraxa pretty easily here. I feel like them having Counterspell next turn might be likely to have Pierce there. I don't know. But I mean, I could also like try to play through that too. Mrs. Solitude again? Wait, there wasn't another one, wasn't there, was it? Okay. Always getting gaslit by chat. Always love to beat Murktide too when you play like these like combo decks. But again, I Stony is like the... Okay, let's keep this. Yeah, I know, I'm just always teasing Fanda. I think I'm just going to put back a land on the draw. Could definitely see putting back one of the Incarnations instead. Do you like cutting Binding versus Preordain? Binding seems good versus Hate. You could watch the deck at the beginning, but like I so far have liked the change. And with Twitch Prime, thank you. But like obviously to some extent, like I like it because that's what we're doing. You know what I mean? Like playing Preordain, like cutting all the 3 jobs, just lets you have a density of pitchables for all your cards. It just does so much. The board you could ending for binding. You could. I've done that in the past too. But also like you're like with only 18 lands, like your binding mana it's not like very particularly clean. Kind of weak to an undying effect here. were the main targets for all those purges. I mean, they're for this matchup, the scam matchup. It's nice that like in the scam matchup, like every single card is a huge nightmare for you. Like you're like really weak to Blood Moon, Leyline of the Void, Dothi Voidwalker, and then also like Fast Grief, Ragavan, Bowmasters are all really nasty. And like Celestial Purge is the only card that hits all of these things. And of course, this matchup is really popular, so I think it makes sense to respect it. Would Pull from Eternity be insane in the stack? So many opportunities to pitch Atraxa. I like love the idea. I love the thought. Oh, that's I think actively good for me. So basically every scam plays. Yeah, and this is obviously the problem with the archetype, is that scam is just a difficult matchup. Although, let's rip a Goryos, Preordain into Goryos. Yeah, Pull from Eternity is really hype. That might be the kind of thing you have to like playtest off stream. Have I talked about the Fable? Yeah, we talked about Ely's Fable version. It's I have seen like every iteration of that deck you could possibly put together, and there certainly is like something to be said for like a fair deck with Goryos, which is what it is. I just feel like the deck is just it's just like not quite powerful enough, or like not consistent enough, or like it's you know, doing the combo plan worse, it's doing the fair plan worse. There's just like a lot of little things I don't love about it, but it's fine. It's for sure fine. Swaza 23 months of thank you. Could Through the Breach be a thing with Preordain over creativity variants? I've started to put some drafts together. There really like honestly aren't that many Solitudes in the format right now. It probably would be fine. Will Dredge ever come back to Modern? Dredge like probably has like a really good win rate in the leagues and like a not great win rate in tournaments. Like the big problem for Dredge is like Scam is the most popular deck, and they like main deck 4 Voidwalkers, and they play like 4 Leyline of the Void at the sideboard sometimes even for like the Living Id matchup. And it's kind of a weird dynamic where like Scam plays a ton of graveyard hate, but like most other decks don't play much graveyard hate. So like to play Dredge, like also kind of like playing a lot of decks. Like this is a very common dynamic when you have a best deck in the format. You have a deck that beats the best deck, and you have a deck that beats everything else. And Dredge is kind of, I think, good at beating like most other things. It has some other weaknesses. It's a pretty good draw. Would you Through the Breach Archon or Atraxa? I would Through the Breach Emrakul. Probably. Maybe I'm supposed to exile the Grief. I guess I'm just super dead if I do. But like, I need to top deck like a Solitude or a Goryos this turn, really. No longer can top deck Solitude. Okay, game 2. I actually had like a Dredge list that I thought was really cool, but there was a rules interaction that didn't work the way I thought it did. Okay, this is the current side we're playing. Cut the forces for purges. Hope for the best. Okay, I can't. So I was playing the new like little Phoenix. Whenever instant or sorcery deals damage to an opponent, you can pay red, bring the Phoenix back. So I was playing that in Dredge alongside Lava Dart and Creeping Chill. And the idea is that Creeping Chill would trigger the damage, because it does say damage, and you can bring the Phoenix back. But I can't remember the ruling, but it doesn't work. That interaction does not work. I'm not still not entirely sure why it doesn't work, but I do know in my heart that, or from people on Twitter, that it doesn't work. Yeah, I'm not sure where the list is. I've showed it. I've shown it in the past. I was also playing Arc-like Phoenix, and so the idea is that you go like Cathartic Reunion, Dredge a lot, Dark, and then get like your Arc-like Phoenixes back sometimes too, which is still something that you can do. And like I even was like winning with the deck despite the Creeping Chills not really working, but it didn't really seem like it was better than normal Dredge. Oh, I keep forgetting to work on the Flumph deck, too. Okay, so I take Voidwalker, Blood Moon, if they want to evoke the Fury to stop the extra Ephemerate, that's fine. The more I think about pull from turn, the more I like it. You can turn 2 Atraxa a lot. Well, the problem with turn 2 Atraxa is you usually want to turn 3 Atraxa. But I again, it does sound okay. It definitely sounds, you know, within reason. We got a reader. That goes really weak to surgical. Yeah. Oh, brick. Now we got a 1/4, baby. Not very likely to brick in this build either. I haven't hypogeometric calculated it or anything, but we have... It should be the same number because we have Purge and Overforce right now. We have 25 hits. Should be pretty good. It's still just Augur of Bolas sometimes. Okay, so the hand is Fury, Blood Crypt. Right. It's a good draw. Oh, we got a Griselbrand in the yard. Which, you know, beats the Voidwalker. So I think I'm just actually going to Goryos now and just Ephemerate the Griselbrand. Make sure, because I've already used 2 Ephemerates. It's not that likely I can find one off the Griselbrand. Just doing this seems correct, I think. And then let's pay 7. So we discard Atraxa. Oh wait, we don't want to discard Atraxa. 80% hit. Yeah, that's lower than I would expect. Although the number is actually higher than that too. The fail rate is actually higher than 80%, or because of fetch lands. Like every time, like you will very likely have fetched at least once, maybe twice, before you cast the Archaeologist, which does buff the numbers up a little bit. Not by like a significant amount or anything, but a little bit. Okay, if they grief me. But also another thing about Archaeologists is like the Griselbrands and the Atraxas are also hits. Like you should be counting these as hits too. So it's because you're happy to mill these over. Like it's like as good as getting a card. So it's really 30 hits. No? What do you mean no? I'll take 2 mana and Tomb of Griselbrand and Tomb of Atraxa. Opponent's thinking about. Oh, they can Ephemerate their. Oh, they can't Fury. Yeah, 2 mana 0/3, put it in Atraxa in the yard is. I would play that card. I would play 4 of the card in the deck for sure. And also sometimes it entombs Atraxa and you get a card. Always hard to argue with no, though. Milled by Plains, kind of funny. Could just cast Grief here. Have lethal next turn. Seems fine. I guess the problem with that is I could see myself losing to Thoughtseize Atraxa, Voidwalker Atraxa, so maybe we just play around that by bounce the Voidwalker, Grief the Voidwalker. Is Founding the Third Path not good enough? I think Archaeologist is better than Founding, especially with Ephemerate. Okay, going to game 3. Anything change on the draw? Like, we could maybe consider playing some number of Prismatic Ending on the draw. I think on the draw I can cut 2 Teferis for 2 endings. It's okay. Man, we have everything. We have Grief Ephemerate. We have Goryo's Atraxa. We have double Ephemerate. Wow, this hand is everything. Almost everything. This is also pretty sick. Kind of an interesting... I mean, we're definitely... I think we're... Maybe we don't definitely keep. No, we have to keep. Just put back the Griselbrand, but... Likely gonna have to pitch the Atraxa to... the Solitude. Definitely with the Leyline in play. Okay, feeling pretty good about this. We do have 4 Celestial Purge in the deck, so it's not like we're just cold to Leyline. Despite us no longer having the Teferis, I guess. Just get basic planes, and I think I'll just main phase. So I suppose it doesn't play around much, but I don't want to take 8. Trainer with a 27, thank you. Any more Scambling cards an option over the Archaeologist? Well, that's kind of a funny question, because, like, Ephemerate is really good with Archaeologist. So, like, to suggest, like, cutting Archaeologist so you can play more Blink cards doesn't seem like much of a reasonable plan to me. I'm gonna wait on the Delta crack. I'm gonna get a basic, I just don't know which basic yet. They probably have Terminator Bowmaster, since they have Shocked. If I attack, it's not that good against Bowmaster, I guess. So you can probably just not attack here, be okay. Although if we... hold on, let me just look at this a little bit. I guess I get Swamp so I can cast Grief. Oh, whoops, I do have to. Shock, though. If I find a Ephemerate off Archaeologist, I can attack. Chain with 27. Yeah, Jace is a really sweet card. I agree, it's kind of sad it's not that viable anymore. Okay, well... 2 Goryos, probably the worst card we could have hit. And so if they have Terminate, I'm still not getting in with this. If they have Bowmaster, I want to not attack, so I think it makes a lot of sense not to attack. Jeff, the 2 years, welcome back. Thank you. I mean, they just, like, always have Bowmaster, right? Maybe it could... I don't think that their Blood Crypt is ever a bluff. Although, I guess I don't know why... I shouldn't have cast the stupid Preordain. I knew they had Bowmaster. I was just excited to draw a cantrip. Okay, bottom both of these. How can you grab cards and mill through and you can slay line? I'm not a judge. I can't tell you why it works. I just do know that it works. Can't really cast that. Maybe I can cast it on their end of turn. Just take 2. Grow this by 2. If we find Solitude, it's fine. If we find Purge, it's okay. That That's heinous. I mean, I have nothing else going on. It's also heinous to just sit here and do nothing. You know what I mean? So I wonder. I do wonder what I'm supposed to purge here. The Leyline, the Bowmaster, the token are all seem pretty reasonable. I think I'm just gonna purge the token. No, let's. I have a Goryo still in my hand. I'll go for the Leyline. Let's high roll a little bit. Could see a good argument for any of these targets though. With this draw, I'm feeling a bit better. Do need to still find another discard outlet. Oh, the rolling is heinous? Sure. So if we draw Solitude, a Looter, Purge. Okay, now doing a little bit worse. Oh, they also get to attack with this. Yeah, we can't hardcast Atraxa. We maybe should have a breeding pool in the deck. I was kind of unsure. I also wonder, should I be solituding the Bowmaster or the Orc army now? I'm obviously very happy to have drawn Solitude. I know my opponent's hand is 2 Undying cards. I just have so many cantrips in the deck. But I think it's probably just still the army. And then don't block. Very good draw. It says drawing like a god over there. I'm gonna do my best. I have no enemies. I'm a peaceful streamer who doesn't any longer respond to these kind of comments as much as I really, really love to. I have no enemies. I have only peace at my heart. I can't help myself. I just can't help myself. I just can't help it. I just love these kind of comments, you know what I mean? They just make my day every time. You won't believe this. We love a scam player, huh? Just completely mind destroyed. Alright, what do we know? Deck's looking great. What determines if a brew or deck is good enters the meta? I see you do well brews and they don't see much play otherwise. I don't know, it's kind of random. Like, to some extent, like, a lot of the decks that I play and do well with, to some extent, like, I do better in the leagues than, like, you know, the average player is going to be able to do in these tournaments for, like, you know, this is, like, a variety of factors that go into that. To some extent, a lot of the decks I play are pretty complicated, and I should probably Indulgence now, because of Bowmaster. A lot of decks I play are pretty complicated and, like, not easy to pick up, and when, like, a new deck is not easy to pick up, it, a lot of times, just doesn't get picked up. Sometimes I play a deck that I think is, like, pretty bad, but I do well with it, and people do pick it up, and it's popular. It's just like, seemingly kind of random. Like, the modern machine, the modern player-based machine does not really act all that rationally a lot of the time. Oh, Goryo's Mirror. Is there any reason you're running a Triome? We maybe should have a green source for Atraxa. I don't know that it would be a Triome. I mostly am pretty happy with all my lands entering untapped. Yeah, I think Timeless Amulet was one of those decks where, like, the whole time I'm talking about how, like, it's just, like, not that good of a tournament deck, and, like, maybe a little bit worse than Amulet Titan, but still, like, very powerful and capable of winning games. But, but people love the deck and, like, play the shit out of it, too. So surely they take Teferi. Oh. Land? That easy. Drawing like a god. I tried brewing in all the 60 card formats, realized all my decks just suck. Well, I'll say this, like, one reason I think I can find success as a modern brewer is because I only brew in modern. Like, I found it to be exceedingly difficult to try to competitively brew in 2 formats at the same time. That's a brick. How good would a Preordain that surveils instead of scries be? Probably the best card in modern. Or, yeah, the best card in modern, like, easily. Like, bannable with Underworld Breach. We're actually pretty good against the Grief here, because we just care about milling a creature. We have 6 looks at milling it. The third Goryo's Vengeance is so funny here. Although we still haven't milled a creature. Or, you know, Goryo's or Griselbrand. Three more looks here. We do hit. Awesome. Ephemerate. Fetch land. Oh, they just concede. Cool. What about a brainstorm that draws 2 instead of 3? If it puts 2 back, it's like, if it's unplayable. If it puts 1 back, it's one of the best cards in Modern, probably. I'm not 100% sure, but probably one of the best cards in Modern. Jesus, for the 9 months, thank you. Yeah, I'm also glad I made it through the vacation. I get back to doing my favorite thing, streaming. Which is actually true. I'm gonna play 3 Solitudes. Shredded Looters, seems fine. Yeah, I agree. So, sometimes you can find like a really out there deck that is doing something like really unique and interesting, but a lot of times, like, especially in between periods of set releases, brewing is largely like iterating on existing decks like we're doing here. Did I like the 4-color deck Greg Orange just putting at the PT? I'm a fan of Greg Orange, but I would probably say that the 4-color Karnless was not very much my style. I think Otherworldly Competition. I hate Otherworldly Gaze. I think that card is awful outside of Dredge for the most part. My opponent's just Griefing. This Grief is so funny. It's like when you scam Grief, it's like it's insane, and like as soon as anybody scams Grief in any game, people are like talking about bans and they hate it so much. But then the Grief just goes to the yard and like, oh wow, this card is awful. it's just so night and day. Would touch be good in the version? I think Preordain makes you not want to play touch and also kind of like not have to. You get to have a much lower curve. This is my current working theory. Oh, well. It's not ideal. Yeah, I know the Ruling Gaze is great in Dredge, but it's like... In this deck, I think like it's much worse than Archaeologist, and like it never replaces itself. And in general, I really dislike cantrips in decks that are weak to graveyard hate that don't replace themselves. I sorry that sentence took a long time to get there, but again, it's a cantrip that doesn't replace itself, which is a big problem in a deck that's like oftentimes wanting like cantrip to like answers to graveyard hate, if that makes sense. I think a minus because of binding. Get a little flooded here. Why main phase the Indulgence there? Because maybe I would find a black card for Grief. That I wanted to pitch that turn. That wasn't Atraxa that I was discarding. They pitch Atraxa to Grief, which is very interesting because they didn't loot Atraxa away to Tainted Indulgence. I know I'm being pedantic. I think cantrip implies replacing itself. Sure, I think you are being pedantic, but I think a lot of people would consider Other Ruling Gaze a cantrip, or for what it's worth. What's our plan against Tron? Hit them with Atraxa, force their threats, grief their threats. We also have force 3 Stony Silences, which are pretty good. Yeah, I would typically think of cantrips as any card selection spell, probably. Maybe not. Maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. It's a conversation. Maybe I'm supposed to bounce the binding there, too. Then bounce the Archaeologist. I got cantrips I would think are like 1 mana card selection spells, but then is Impulse a cantrip? Maybe that is. Doc with the 41 months, thank you. Let's look at a trophy prediction going. It'll be the first 5-0 since we got back. Creativity is favored against Scam, which is also part of the reason why Scam has kind of exploded. Is creativity's on the downswing, and creativity I think has a favorable matchup against Scam by a little bit. But the dynamic is that like the creativity is like really bad against ring decks usually, and can't play the ring. Jam with the 2 months, thank you. Basic Forest tank. Uh-oh. Probably actually a good matchup. Okay, that can dig pretty deep. We also, we have 3 Stony Silence in our sideboard too. I just think it used to be favored against Scam, but maybe Orcs changed that. To be honest, I don't think the Orcs are like that big a deal against. We get to dig so deep, but I probably just wanted to Teferi bounce the Ozolith. It's such a good play. I don't think that the Bowmasters are like that particularly good against Scam. They're okay. They're like a fine card against them, but you know, you're up against a Wrenn and 6 deck, which is really good against Bowmasters. Bowmaster, I think, is pretty easy to play around. So I did go for Ravager instead of the Ozlith this time. I might block opponent. I don't think you're going to sack your Ravager. If you do, I'm also probably happy. A win is a win. What can I say? A win is a win. We built an Atraxa. So I guess we wait till end of turn to Goryo's the Atraxa. Doesn't know if I'll do deck text. I keep forgetting, but I think the current structure on deck text is going to be 3 channel point only deck text, no paid deck text is going to be the tentative structure for a little while. I just keep forgetting to re-enable the channel point deck text. I guess I could just do it right now, actually. And I want to set a timer between them for like. The deck techs are now 75k. Redemption cooldown. It's limited 3 redemptions per stream. 1 redemption per user per stream. Okay. So they should be back on. I'll probably get one immediately. I did hit the submetric, yeah. Yeah, and then potentially doing a cameo account, which sounds very funny and fun. A cameo account for deck text sounds very, very funny and fun. But I don't know when or if I'm going to set that up. You said turn 2 Atraxa isn't that good, but you can end of turn to it. Okay, yeah, that is a great counterpoint. Yeah, I'm feeling very relieved that we hit the metric. I am thankful to all of y'all for helping out. Cameo like that where people pay for video snippets? Yeah, that one. So you can have a cameo deck tech. It honestly like the thing is like I don't know. It's kind of, it feels kind of random to me, but it feels like a good combination of funny, random, while also like being a particularly good platform for the type of content I want to do on there. Just kind of hits all the bases, I guess. Yeah, let's take Solitude over Grief. It's just like weird. It's like I like that it's funny. I like that it's fun, and it also is like just the perfect platform for deck techs. Weirdly. Do you have a favorite dinosaur? I'm like a big sea monster fan, so all of the like giant, scary underwater dinosaurs are like infinitely cooler than any of the land dinosaurs. Not that I'm a big or dinosaur person in general. In fact, ever since Ixalan, I think maybe that I've decided dinosaurs are kind of cringe. Okay, we won game 1, and now we're sighting in 3 Stony Silences as a big fuck you to all the doubters. We're bringing the pendings too, I think. Maybe cut the Griefs. Could go -2 Teferi, -1 Grief, -1 Mending. Or maybe we cut a... No, wait, we brought in more white cards. You want to think about white cards versus black cards when you cut the 2 mana cards? Alright, chat. 1-1 for keep, 2-2 for mull. Should we keep this hand? Should we mulligan this hand? What do y'all think? What should we do here? Magic is really hard. Magic is really hard. I just struggling sometimes. We got Watery Grave Plains. Oh, I guess we got Indulgence. Could have got Hallowed Fountain, Swamp. I played the wrong fetch to do that. Alright, chat. Should we top both of these? Should we bottom one? Should we bottom both? I just don't know. Magic is a really difficult game. That's a good card here. I even wonder, should I go for the Goryos? It's really bad if they play a graveyard hate spell to go for Goryos instead of Stony, but I could just be dead. I guess, like, if I think I'm gonna be dead, I could just play the Archaeologist. I'm at 14. They have 3 cards in their hand. You know, I actually think the Stony is too slow. I think I need to Indulgence. I can Indulgence main phase to try to find a Grief. Because, like, they're gonna play Graveyard Hate if they have it. It's not like I get to, like, bluff. Wow, unlucky. Oh, I guess they also maybe, like, don't go for lethal if I have mana up. How do you have the Stony in play? The patchwork gets really big, even with Stony in play. Stony makes them killing mana makes them harder for them to have lethal. Well, it gives them a whole extra turn to kill me with this patchwork. Is the argument for not playing Stony. Don't think Stony's too slow, real hard for the kill with Stony. I think that they very, very like. I think most of the time they kill me over the course of over two turns with this patchwork. If I play Stony, I think that most of the time they can deal 14 over the course of 2 turns. Like here, here if they have any artifact, they've accomplished 14 over 2 turns, even through Stony. Even if the artifact is played next turn, any artifact would have killed me if I played Stony. Yeah, we found the right line. Does have Death Touch? Does have Death Touch? Wait, we're just dead though. Well, we're just dead. Okay, we found the wrong line. We found the wrong line actually. Although I think the Stony line is also like probably gonna lose. Wow, it was the wrong line the whole time. Me who is, love months, thank you. I see the new Beseech the Mirror. Seems like it'd be good in mono black deck with new Undying effect, make an aura token. Yeah, I think so. Like the ability to go 4 mana, get a Shieldred, Grief, or Ring just seems, or Damnation seems awesome. The problem is, like, I don't know how consistently you're going to be able to have something to sacrifice. You really have to like Bowmaster Bloodghast, or like the 2 cards that kind of come to mind. One thing I do really like about the card is that you can just sack a ring to get another ring. Like that seems pretty interesting. Is there a reason we couldn't just go Stony Chump block a Goryo's turn 4? We didn't necessarily have the 4th land. Yeah, I guess we just didn't necessarily have the 4th land, but that land was also probably okay, to be honest. Yeah, if I played my fetches better too, we could have lived. That being said, we're just drawing like a god all league. I think I want Solitude more than Grief. Not to get too philosophical. Take Mending as a white card. You just can't sack Bloodghast to Beseech the Mirror. Is Beseech the Mirror not the 4 mana sacrifice thing? What can you sacrifice to that? Is that, I mean, I see if you can't do that, I have really misunderstood the card, I guess. Okay. Need to reread it, I suppose. Oh, sorry, I needed to probably keep this white card. Artifact Enchantment Token. Okay, this card is just balanced, dude. You leave with 8 months, so you think you. This card is just balanced. We'll still like build around it, but maybe there's like still a combo we can find. I'm pretty sure this is it's just a balanced card, y'all. Yeah, in Legacy it seems much better for sure. I agree. Chromox is like just such a great card to pair with it. Mox Opal. I mean, I bet like Tid looks at a Stony Silence or Ephemerate to win the game. It's probably fine to do this. Pithing Needle, huh? Well, we get to take it for free. Take Ephemerate. Take Second Pending. Take Swamp. Take Griselbrand discarded hand size. So I definitely want to use 2 white this turn. Depending the scales. And then, what can we needle, or what should we needle? They probably get the Ozolith, but it seems better to hold up Solitude plus Ephemerate or Goryo or Griselbrand Ephemerate than to needle anything here. Super unlucky to not hit a Stony Silence in 30 cards. We've run so bad all league, huh? Just kidding. Needle Zabaz. I mean, I know I can Needle Zabaz. They currently have no red mana. I would rather just hold up this stuff than Needle Zabaz, I think. I think I would just discard it. Don't forget those wards. I can pay for a ward and Solitude Ephemerate still. That's why I'm taking this line. Discard Swamp. Nah, I think Painless Land next turn's pretty nice. Thought on how to break the new Cauldron card. I don't think you can, but I'll work on it. At the moment, I think it's a little overhyped. Just a little, though. Like an appropriate amount of overhyped, maybe. Solitude's the boss main phase. No, you want to be reactive against scales, usually. Shock with the 25 months, thank you. Ballista, huh? Came to Washington State, county-wide power outage, rush to Starbucks to get Wi-Fi for work, find out everything is canceled except for Spike Stream. Hell yeah. Good luck today. What caused the outage? Is it like a heat wave? Five-0, baby. Let's fucking go. Deck felt on. So like this is one thing too, and I want to like make sure everyone understands this. Goryos and Persist decks, both of them, it's like a 5-0 means like less than any other archetype. Like I could very easily go, wow, everything felt so smooth, everything was good, but like that's like literally just what it's always like when you draw well with Goryos. When you draw well with Goryos, like you just can't lose to anything. And then you have several matches where you just like can't beat the hate, can't like your draws just like don't function. And like this is true I think for like every Goryos build, but it is also true that Preordain really helps reduce the number of those games. And which is why Preordain is such an exciting card for this build. So let's play another one so we can get like a little bit more of an idea on the deck. We drew super hot all league.